Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for an episode on Tips and Tricks 101. Today's tips and tricks is going to be one which sounds really small, but over the course of my experience and recent feedback from others, specifically quite a few mentors I have, one thing comes to light, which is naming conventions. And I thought, what better way for us to get into these good habits than to go through the variety of different naming conventions and what that looks like. If you're new here, guys, this is Ethan's Code Guild, where we teach and learn all things code. This kind of series is just a mini kind of series. They're only going to be about 5-10 minutes long, just to give you a few tips and tricks about something in particular. So today it's naming conventions. If you haven't already, guys, if you could like, subscribe, let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions were on the video, what you think was good, what you think you could do better, what you think you'd like to see in future videos, and whether this has helped you, if you're already a pro at this, which I imagine some of you are, and just what your overall thoughts are about how you use naming conventions in your day-to-day. So, how are we going to do this? Well, the easiest way of doing this is to just go through them one at a time. Now, when we do go through these, by all means, guys, if you've got any questions, as per usual, leave them in the comments below for me, and I will answer them as best I can. And I would say, enjoy the video. So, guys, we're going to go through this one kind of naming convention at a time. The easiest way of going through this as a naming convention is essentially going to be go through what's available. I will do examples on how you could use it, and as you can see, I have prepared something as well. I've got our own little file. Now you will see, by the way, guys, that some things won't run. The reason why some things I'm not going to actually run is that's not the point of this video. It's just for the naming convention side. So first of all, we've got PascalCase. Now for those of you who haven't seen PascalCase or might not quite be aware of what that actually means, what that one is essentially where each word starts with a capital letter. So an example being, per se, is you might have a, let's go public class that we're going to call, what's an example? A manager. Let's go for a management system. There we go. Now, how you would do that is you would do it as all the letters have a capital letter at the start. So a management system. Just FYI, guys, if you do see, I've got dyslexia, so you're gonna have to just excuse us for the lack of crystal clarity. So that is an example. Okay, that's just a class management system. It's labeled there. You might then decide to, for example, have a interface. That's another one. So we'll go on, we can't do it. No, we can actually have this one. 1 second. Interface. We're going to call it management system database. Database. There we go, guys. So as you can see, each word starts with a capital letter. Now typically you'd use this on classes, interfaces, that kind of higher level stuff to describe the file which you're dealing with. But you can use it for other things as well. It just depends on what your guidelines are and who you're building it with. Usually every place has their own kind of guidelines, so it would be worth checking it out. But this is one of those habits of once you kind of understand each one, and the more you use each one, you'll be able to just turn it on and off like that. The next one is camelCase. Now, what does camelCase mean? As you all know, camels have humps. So the best understanding of camelCase and the easiest way I remember it is think of it like a camel's hump. So this one, we start off with a lowercase and then we go up into a higher case. So an example being, and you typically use this on things such as, but not limited to, attributes. So if we go for a, let's say public, let's say a string, and we're going to call this string, we're going to call this method, get string. Yeah, so we do get string. There we go, and that is the camelCase. Now that one is a example of a method, okay, but you can use it, as I said, in other things. It depends on what the guidelines are. Do another one. So let's do public. Let's do a number for this one. I'm feeling number. Let's do an integer. integer. Go. There you go, guys. As you can see, same thing. We got the lowercase at the start, and then we got the uppercase on the second word. Next one is constraints. Now, constraints is something which it depends on how you want to do constraints, but what you'll find, and I found this particularly when I'm looking through and researching bits of code, is let's say, for example, we get a, let's word it. It's a good example of a constraint. Range. There we go. So say in my recent videos, if you're not seeing it, we're doing a to-do list. There is a level, a task level for how hard the task is, but it can only be between 1 and 10. So you might call this one, for example, we're going to leave it as public by default, so we won't put that in at the start, but it's going to be a static variable, meaning there's not an instance created, it just stays the same, and that's going to be final, so it can't be changed. And we're going to change that, well, we're going to have it as an integer, and it's going to have the name of, let's go, max underscore level. That's going to equal 5. There we go. So as you can see, that is the idea behind constraints. So it's quite clear, it seems quite important as well. Use the underscore to separate the words, and you use caps lock or capitals on the actual letters themselves. Do another one as an example. This time we'll ignore, well, we'll keep the static actually. But what we'll do, this is the only problem, guys, when you got it, you've got caps lock on, so do watch out. We'll do it as, not final, but we'll do it as a string. And then we're going to call this, what we're going to call it, no, I've done it right the first time. We're going to call this, what we're going to call it, let's go with allowed letter 7. Okay. So that's once again an example of a constraint. It's an allowed letter, okay, and that's 7. So same thing, we got the letters in caps lock, got an underscore spacing them out, and then we got the other letter as well. All right. So that's the constraint side of things, and how you could kind of do your constraints for your naming conventions. I will just highlight, as I said, guys, this is just optional. So you'll find, as I said, different places have their own rules. This isn't guaranteed that the way or place you want to work will follow the same route. They might have, say, camelCase as an example, and they might use that for constraints. Or they might use PascalCase for constraints. So it just depends on where you go and what their guidelines are. So I'd encourage you to reach out and let us know if you guys do code yourselves, what your guidelines are where you work. It'd be interesting to know, see what's most popular. The next one is packages. So packages, for the most part, can be good to have in lowercase. So an example of a package, it's not so relevant in this one because I don't have it in a package, but sometimes you might want to package your controllers, for example, or your services, or your models, which you'll see on my other videos. Have a look. I'll leave you'll be able to see them on the channel as well, our to-do list project. But you'll use that to like package data away, so it's in its own little section. Okay, it makes it easier when you're trying to access things and organize things. For this one, you might have a package, for example, of, let's say, controllers. So you might have it as com dot example, whatever you named your project. If you use a build, Micronaut build, Micronaut launch, Spring, lots of others you could use. So Tom lamp, and then we're going to call this controllers. So controllers. Okay, we might do the same thing for models. So we'll do it again for the models. 1 second. Example models. There we go. That's an example. And then following on from that, guys, you've also got classes. So we've already had a brief kind of discussion surrounding this because you've already got classes just up there, okay? But as I said, that's just there as a note to highlight that whatever classes you do, and this is important, make sure they make sense and make sure they have enough detail. That's not to say you need an infinite amount of detail, but that's just to say have it so it is quite clear. So for example, our management system, if we just change that to, say, public class, and then system. That can mean absolutely anything, guys. So it's just important so that you can keep it clear. And if other developers are looking at your work, which chances are you will be, because it's a team game, then having it where it doesn't make it much sense, or there's very, very little awareness of what it actually does, can make it harder to pick out. Alright? So it's the same thing as well with the complexity. So for example, that shows what it's like with too little. Too much might look something like this. Watch out. There we go, guys. You can see how from the looks of that, that is completely unreadable. And if I came across that, I might be thinking, what on God's green earth is this? Now, is that to say you need to have something as simple as a management system? No. Could you add something? You could maybe highlight what it manages. So that's a clear 3-step rule. So you might say, let's do an example for it. You might decide to call it salary management system. Gives you enough information on what it is, but it doesn't look like that. Alright, so I thought I'd just quickly go over that. So keep that in mind, guys, how long your namings are, and just making sure they're not unnecessarily long. The last one, okay, is just test methods. Now this, really the same thing. There's not really too much I wanted to go through with this, but it's just once again ensuring when you test, you make sure that it's not over the top. So if we go back to our salary management system, say we needed to make sure that the system works out tax correctly. For example, you might have a method that is a, 1 second, let's go public void, let's say test, 1 second with that one, guys, test management system calculates tax. There we go. So that's a little bit more detail. The reason we're doing it like that, guys, is just for the test inside. So you get the same, you can use something which I will show you on videos out there somewhere, called display name. So that allows you to essentially choose how the test is displayed in your IDE, whatever that might be. That's something that you can take advantage of. But the key here is that one there is quite clear. Test management system calculates tax correctly. Not too complicated, not over the top. That's much better than, for example, test for any errors relating to tax. Completely unrelated and not necessary. So that's all it is, guys. That is all the key kind of naming conventions. We've done a bit of a brief on today. I'd love to see your own naming conventions down in the comments below. So if you want to give me anything you want to do just for practice, and if you've got your own projects that you're doing, please, I encourage you, use it, take it with you, keep it. Okay, you can use it for different projects, you can use it to improve your own projects. And just to say, guys, you know, sometimes you won't have the naming conventions in mind because you're particularly busy. You know, there's no problem with going back on your code. There is no problem with refactoring things. A lot of IDEs are quite smart now. You can use refactoring to be able to help rectify any errors, and it can save you a lot of time. With that being the case, though, guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know what you thought in the comments, and have a really good rest of your day. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.